daily current affair discussion session. The first topic that we are taking today is an international topic regarding India-USA relation in light of the recent visit of Indian Prime Minister to USA. Recently, the Indian Prime Minister was on a visit to USA and Egypt. First, he went to USA. Then from USA, he visited Egypt. And during his visit to USA, a number of bilateral agreements were signed between the two sides. Fine. Recent US visit will boost bilateral ties and deepen strategic defense and technology collaboration. Okay. So this is the topic. What is the agreement signed between the two sides? So defense and technology collaboration between India and USA. The recent announcement that will take the defense tie between the country to a new height. During the visit, so many important agreements were signed in the defense domain that will take the relations to new heights. The first important one is potential joint manufacturing the General Electric Aerospace F414 engine in India by the General Electronic and Hindustan Aeronautics Limited to power India's indigenous light combat aircraft Mark II and the twin engine advanced medium combat aircraft Mark I. Both will use the engine, aircraft engine. So, and that engine will be developed by technology transfer from GE Electric of USA. Fine. So, General Electric Aerospace. So, GE Aerospace will give the technology of the engine to be built by Hull in India. The purchase of 31 high altitude long endurance Predator MQ-39B armed unmanned aerial vehicles or drones. The most powerful drone that will be used in defense. Both the Navy, the Army and the Air Force will get this drone for use, and 31 high altitude drones will be provided by USA to India. This is part of these two are the most important agreement signed between the two countries during the recent visit of the Prime Minister to USA. Then the other area, so deepen military cooperation. India has brought from USA the C-130 and the C-17 Globemaster transport aircraft, the largest aircraft, the transport aircraft in the Indian military. The H-64E Apache attack helicopter, the CH-47 Chinook and the MH-60R multi-role helicopters, the P-81 maritime patrol aircraft, and the M777 ultralight outrigger gun, among others. US has been aggressively pitching its fighter jets, the F-16 and the F-18. F-16 have been provided to by USA to Pakistan earlier, and it is trying to sell the F-16 and the F-18 for Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy. Okay, so because India has recently purchased Rafale from France, the most advanced aircraft defense fighter plane that India has purchased from France. So USA is aggressively trying to sell these two advanced fighter planes F-16 and F-18 to Indian Air Force and the Indian Navy. Okay, India and USA had tried and served an earlier engine development efforts under the Defense Technology and Trade Initiative some year ago, but it has not been successful. But now the new jet engine deal is an investment in each other to address the shared security concern while continuing to navigate the disagreement. Fine. That means the recent agreement signed recently during the visit of the Prime Minister will open the new vista in the bilateral relationship. Significance: geopolitical. Top among their shared concern is China, because China is a threat to USA and China is a concern for China is a threat to India and China is a concern for USA also. So combinedly, both India and USA are trying to control China and its expansion in the Indo-Pacific region, whose Chinese expansion in the Indo-Pacific region will be checkmated by the cooperation between India and USA. Fine. The US also want to win India away from its defense partners with Russia. You know, since more than 7 decades, India and Russian relationship in the defense domain is very close. So most of India's defense requirements are fulfilled by Russia. Okay, and even Russia is also presently providing and transferring technology to India. Like recently, Russia has transferred the technology of the AK-203 assault rifle to be produced in India. So which no country has transferred that. So the fifth generation fighter tank are under the joint production of India and Russia. So there is so many other things that India and Russia are cooperating. USA through its own initiative is trying to checkmate Indo-Russian closeness in the defense domain by providing the defense technology to India from its soil. Fine. So by USA. Then from a technological perspective, the newly announced joint initiative in jet engine production, semiconductor and space technology present an opportunity for India to develop a defense industry of its own and improve its technological competence across the world. India-US relation. About India and the US share value of democracy, rule of law, human rights and religious freedom that bind the countries together. In the bilateral engagement, India and the United States enjoy a comprehensive global strategic partnership covering almost all areas women endeavor, driven by shared democratic values, convergence of interest on a range of issues, and vibrant people-to-people contact. Regular exchanges at the leadership level have been an integral element of the expanding bilateral engagement. Okay. Despite COVID-19 pandemic, India-USA cooperation witnessed intense engagement under the various bilateral dialogue mechanism in a wide range of areas including defense, security, health, trade, economic, science and technology, energy and people ties during the COVID period even. COVID has not presented itself as a big barrier in affecting the bilateral relationship between India and USA. Even despite the COVID pandemic, both the sides are able to strengthen their relationship in different domains. Okay, that is what is being highlighted and further strengthened by the efforts. Okay, then defense and security. India-US defense cooperation based on new framework for Indo-US defense cooperation, which was renewed for a period of 10 years in 2015. In 2016, the defense relationship was designed as a major defense partnership. The major defense partnership recognizes a shared desire to build a comprehensive, enduring, and mutually beneficial defense partnership. Several defense agreements have also been signed in recent years. The bilateral military exercise and defense exchanges are important aspect of deepening military to military cooperation between India and USA. Then here is a strategic relation quad. The four quad partners India, Japan, USA. Okay, in 2019, the first four quad partners India, Japan, United States, and Australia has formed a core group in 2004 to swiftly mobilize aid during the joint response to the 2004 tsunami. And since 2017, the quad engagement have increased and intensified. In 2019, The first Quad Foreign Minister meeting was held in New York in December 2019. Counter-terrorism cooperation in counter-terrorism has been considerable progress with information exchange, operational cooperation, and sharing of counter-terrorism technology and equipment. India-US Joint Working Group on Counter-Terrorism oversees the expanding counter-terrorism cooperation between India and USA, and it has also been further expanded to cover the Quad countries. Fine. Okay. So cooperation in counter has been considerably progress with information exchange, operational cooperation, and sharing of counter-terrorism technology and equipment. Indo-US Joint Working Group on Counter-Terrorism oversees the expanding counter-terrorism cooperation. Cybersecurity cooperation. The India-US Cyber Security Framework signed in September 2016 provides for expanding cooperation in the cyber domain. Trade and economic relation. The rapidly expanding trade and commercial linkage form an important component of the multifaceted partnership between India and the United States. Right. The US is India's second largest trading partner and a major destination for our export of goods and services. US is one of the top five investment destinations for Indian FDI. Indian diaspora, about 4.2 million Indian American or Indian origin people reside in USA, and the Indian American of 33.18 million constitute the third largest Indian ethnic group in USA. So Indian constitute the third largest ethnic group in USA, and the recent that was exemplified during the recent visit of Modi to USA, and that for the first time gates of the White House was open for the Indians who to meet the Prime Minister over there. India's preference with strategic autonomy, while its embrace with the US is getting stronger, deeper and more comprehensive, India is also cognizant of the need to maintain strategic autonomy. US strategy at the moment is focused on creating a new bipolarity in the world which India is not comfortable with. Concreting positions, India's position on Ukraine. India muted criticism of the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022 expectedly led to some frustration in the West because Asia remains silent. India remains silent and has not supported the European Union or the American-led that complete isolation of Russia, but rather India became the largest oil importer from Russia, and that was a region why Russia is able to maintain its financial stability. Okay, even the converging Indo-US strategic interest in the Indo-Pacific, differences persist between Washington and New Delhi on different issues. Okay, position on Indo-Pacific region. The US views the Indo-Pacific as a region where a rule-based liberal international order needs to be preserved vis-a-vis China's assertive rise and even the Russian threat. By contrast, India does not see the Indo-Pacific as an exclusive group of actors in a region that is against any country. New Delhi considers it an inclusive region and has at times even signaled the inclusion of China and Russia within its definition of the Indo-Pacific. So, New Delhi or India, so in its desire in Indo-Pacific want to add Russia and China in the Indo-Pacific. So that inclusiveness, but which is not supported by USA. So USA don't want to include Russia and China in the Indo-Pacific initiatives. Way ahead, overall the Indo-USA strategic and security ties are not perfect and unlikely to be so in the coming future. The specter of divergence will continue to exist within the role compatibility and to enjoy India's desire to protect its broader and sovereignty aligns with US interests. This is a new era of mutual trust in the two countries, and it should act as a force for stability in the region. Right. Then the next topic is topic on environment and geography, especially geography topic. The context with the El Nino phenomena almost certain to affect the Indian monsoon this year. High hope are pinned on the development of positive Indian Ocean dipole and its ability to counterbalance the El Nino effect. Okay, so while El Nino is a warm current in the Pacific, so in the Peru coast is already firmly established in the Pacific Ocean this year. The Indian Ocean dipole is still in the neutral phase. According to the Indian Meteorological Department (IMD), the probability of forecast for the Indian Ocean dipole indicates about 80% probability of positive IOD conditions and 15% of a neutral IOD during June-August 2023 season. All international climate models surveyed also suggest a positive IOD event may develop in the coming months. Indian Ocean dipole. The Indian Ocean dipole is an ocean atmospheric interaction very similar to the El Nino fluctuations in the Pacific Ocean, playing out the name shows in the Indian Ocean. It also as much weak system as El Nino, and thus has a relatively limited impact. Okay, so El Nino is a warm current. Similarly, the Indian Ocean dipole is another current and it is confined to the Indian Ocean. But the El Nino is confined, it starts from the Pacific Ocean, having its impact on the Indian monsoon. Similarly, the Indian Ocean dipole develop over the Indian Ocean has some benefiting impact on the Indian monsoon. The Indian Ocean dipole is an ocean atmospheric interaction very similar to El Nino fluctuations in the Pacific Ocean, playing out at the same name shows in the Indian Ocean. They are also much weaker system than El Nino and thus has relatively limited impact. But a positive Indian Ocean dipole does have the potential to offset the impact of El Nino to a small measure in neighboring areas, and it has at least once in the past delivered admirably in the potential in 1997. So, how the Indian Ocean dipole, sometimes referred to as Indian Nino, is a phenomenon similar to El Nino Southern Oscillation or ENSO. ENSO stands for El Nino Southern Oscillation, playing out in the relatively small area of the Indian Ocean between the Indonesian and Malaysian coastline in the east and Africa coastline near Somalia in the west. One side of the ocean along the equator get warmer than the other. Okay, so IOD is said to be positive when the western side of the Indian Ocean near the Somali coast become warmer than the eastern Indian Ocean. It is negative when the western Indian Ocean is cooler. Okay, the positive or negative. Relations of El Nino Southern Oscillation and the Indian Ocean dipole. The positive Indian Ocean dipole event is often seen developing at times of an El Nino, while a negative IOD is sometimes associated with a La Nina. During El Nino, the Pacific side of Indonesia is cooler than normal, because of which the Indian Ocean side also get cooler. That helps the development of a positive IOD. Many studies suggest that IOD events are actually induced by the El Nino Southern Oscillation. But according to others, these IOD events even can have a independent existence. Impact of IOD, a positive IOD helps rainfall along the African coastline and also over the Indian subcontinent, while suppressing rainfall over Indonesia, Southeast Asia and Australia. This impact are opposite during a negative IOD period. Okay, so positive El Nino lead to rainfall in some area. Okay, so including Southeast Asia. Okay, El Nino is the warming of the seawater in the central east equatorial Pacific, starting from the Peru coast, that occur every few years. In a normal year, the eastern side of the Pacific Ocean near the northwest coast of South America is cooler than the western side near the island of Philippines and Indonesia. This happens because the prevailing wind system that moved from east to west swept the warmer surface water toward the Indonesian coast. The relatively cooler water from the below come up to replace the displaced water. So when water become warmer, it moves the relatively cool water from the below come up to replace the displaced water. An El Nino event is the result of a weakening of wind system that leads to lesser displacement of warmer waters. This result in the eastern side of the Pacific becoming warmer than usual. Okay. So outcomes disruption in the food chain. The phenomena of upwelling where nutrient rich water rise towards the surface is reduced under El Nino. This is done reduces the phytoplanktons. The fish that eat phytoplanktons are affected, followed by other organisms higher up to the food chain. Okay. So because phytoplankton production is affected, the fish depending on the phytoplankton for their survival, okay, they are also affected. Okay. Disruption in the overall ecosystem. Warm water also carry tropical species towards cooler areas, disrupting the multiple ecosystem. Alteration in wind and weather pattern. Since the Pacific cover almost one third of the Earth, changes in its temperature and subsequent alteration of the wind pattern disrupt global weather pattern. El Nino causes dry, warm winters in the northern US and Canada and increases the kind of flooding in the US, Gulf Coast and southeastern US. It also brings drought to Indonesia and Australia. La Nina. La Nina is the opposite of El Nino. La Nina is cooler than average sea surface temperature in the equatorial Pacific region. Trade winds are stronger than usual, pushing warmer water towards Asia. On the American west coast, upwelling increases, bringing nutrient-rich water to the surface. Pacific cold water close to the American push jet streams, narrow bands of strong winds in upper atmosphere and northwestward. This leads to drier conditions in the southern US and heavy rainfall in Canada. La Nina has also been associated with heavy floods in Australia. Two successive La Nina events in the last 2 years caused intense flooding in Australia, resulting in significant damage. The El Nino Southern Oscillation, both these conditions together called El Nino Southern Oscillations or OENSO, affect weather events across the world. So the year El Nino is strong, like this year, that the rainfall is affected severely. Okay, the next topic. Seven products from the UP get the GI tag. GI tag is the geographical indication tag given to product of specific geographical region. In context, seven products from Uttar Pradesh have got the geographical indication tag. Products that get GI tag are the Amroba Dholka. The Amroha Dholka is a musical instrument made of natural wood of mango, jackfruit, and teak wood. Okay, wood is used to carve the multiple size and shaped hollow blocks, which are later fitted with animal skin, mostly goat skin, to create the instrument. Okay, the drum, or dholka. Then the Bagpat home furnishing. Bagpat is famous for their exclusive handloom home furnishing products and running fabric in cotton yarn for generations. And only cotton yarn is used in the handloom weaving process. Then the Barabanki handloom products. So Barabanki is known for fabric knitting through handlooms. The main product are scraps, salts, tools, and the basic raw materials are silk, jari, cotton, polyester, jacquard, loom, and dori. Okay. Then the Kalpi handmade paper. Kalpi has historically been a sector of handmade paper manufacturing. The Munalal Khadari, a Gandhian, formally introduced the craft here in the 1940s. The craft is made for waste paper and cloth strings. This paper is used to make variety of products such as the fish file, carry bag, absorption papers, visiting cards, and more. Okay, handmade paper. Okay, very famous around the country. Then the Mahaba Gaurav Patthar Hatta Silpa. It is a stone craft and is made of radiant white color stone. Okay, that is predominantly found in the region. It is cut into several pieces which are then used for making various crafts items. Fine, very artistically designed. Then the next is the Manipuri Tarkasi or the technique of inlaying brass, copper, or silver wires in wood. Usually, sesame wood is used for this art. It is used for decorating jewelry boxes, nameplate, door panels, lamps, sandok, decorative pieces, table, flowers, pots, etc. It was mainly used for the Khadari wooden sandals since leather was considered unclean. So considered over wood. Then the Sambhai horn craft. The Sambhal offers a wide range of decorative horn bone handicrafts. The raw material used for making these crafts is procured from dead animals that make this industry environmental friendly. The bones and the horns of the dead animal is used in creating these handcraft products, which are very popular. And this is also environmental friendly because the dead animals fat are used in designing the handicrafts. The next topic is a topic in the defense. The Indian Minister of Port, Shipping and Waterways on the Sagar Samajik Sahjog. About Sagar Samajik Sahjog, it is a new guideline of corporate social responsibility by the Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways. They empower ports to undertake CSR activities directly. They allow port to initiate, undertake and expedite project for community welfare through a framework where local community can also become partners for development and change. Features, it will impact projects and programs relating to activities specified in Section 70 of the Major Port Authority Act 2021. For the purpose of planning and implementing the CSR project, a corporate social responsibility committee shall be constituted. Okay, so will be constituted. So the CSR committee will be constituted in each major port. The committee shall be headed by the deputy chairperson of the major port and shall have two other members. The CSR budget will be mandatorily created through a broad resolution as a percentage of net profits. A port with an annual net profit of 1000 crore, 100 crore or less than can fix between 3% or 5% of for CSR expenses. Similarly, the port with a net profit between 100 crores and 500 crores annually can fix its CSR expenses between 2% and 3% of its net profit subject to maximum of 3 crore. For port whose annual net profit is above 500 crore per year, the CSR expenses can be between 0.5% to 2% of its net profit. But the objective, the guideline aims to empower port to address local community issues in a more cooperative and swift manner. CSR has the ability to become a major agent of change in a location or on an activity to bring positive change in the lives of the people. So it aims to ensure that port of all sides contribute to community welfare initiative because so the community living in the periphery of the ports, they are dependent on the port, and as the ports are making profit, so it is their responsibility, social responsibility to do something for the community. So these corporate bodies or the ports should take up corporate social responsibility work in the welfare. Okay. The Gridflasher latest financial report from the US and Europe continue to show that farms across the board seems to be making more profit than what their overall sell should merit, leading to a term called the gridflation. Grid inflation called gridflation. Inflation on the inflation rate is the rate at which the general price level rises. Inflation is the price when the price of essential goods and services increased over a continuous period. When it is reported that the inflation rate was 5% in June, it implies that the general price level of the economy as measured by the representative basket of goods and services was 5% more than what it was in June 2022. There are two main ways in which inflation happens. Either prices get pushed up because input costs are risen, which is called as cost push inflation, and they are pulled up because there is excess demand, that is called the demand pull inflation. So inflation broadly may be cost push inflation or demand pull inflation. In cost push inflation, so the input cost is increased, leading to the increase in cost of the final product. And the demand pull inflation, due to sudden increase in demand, so the prices goes up. Disinflation refers to the trend when inflation rate decelerates, means fall in inflation rate. Suppose it was 10% in April, 7% May, and 5% in June. This is called disinflation. Inflation is there, but the rate of inflation is falling. 10, then to 7, then to 5. In other words, disinflation refers to a period when even though prices are rising or inflation is happening, it is happening at a lower rate each passing month. So from 10 to 7 to 5. So still inflation is at 5%. Then the deflation is a exact opposite of inflation. Imagine if the general price level in June was 5% lower than what it was June last year. That is called deflation. Okay. So less by 5% from the previous year. The deflation typically follow deflation as policymakers try to pump up economic activity either by government spending more or interest rate being reduced. So that led to availability of the cheap money, so creating demand. Okay, so that reflation is the way out. Okay, about gridflation, imagining a scenario: what if prices were going up not because workers were getting higher wages, but because their companies were making more profits? So workers are not being given the wages, increased wages, but the company are making more profit. If the input costs have gone up, a business or a company will be forced to raise their price, otherwise they cannot sustain their business. In such case, a higher sale in terms of rupee do not lead to higher profit because even the input cost have increased. So the profit is not more because the input cost is higher. Okay. Explain gridflation. Gridflation simply means a corporate way grid in fueling inflation, or corporate grid is fueling inflation. In other words, instead of the wage price spiral, it is the profit price spiral that is in the play because the entrepreneurs are more worried for the profit. They increase the price to earn more profit. So the greed of the entrepreneurs lead to inflationary trend, that is called the gridflation. That in turn further fueled inflation observed in the developed country. In the developed country in Europe and the USA, there is a growing consensus that gridflation is the real culprit because the entrepreneurs or the producers, they are the owner. They in a desire to get or maximize their profit or earn more profit, increase the price, but they don't pay higher wages to the workers. And although they earn more, they quote more price for the product, but the workers are not paid commensurately as per the increased price. Example: Europe, while the biggest driver of high inflation that Europe witnessed in 2022 since the start of the war, or the spike in energy cost, but there are very little contribution of higher wages. Energy costs have increased because their import of energy from Russia has stopped, and they're importing from country like India, which is at a higher cost. There was, however, an extra and significant injection of inflation from rising profits of farms. India, the Indian corporate sector has generated superlative profits in the past post-pandemic periods. Profit during recent times have been nearly thrice the profit corporation earned earlier. Suggestions are way ahead. Profit margins should sink and the share of corporate sector income going to labor compensation or for the labor share of the income should range as unemployment falls in the economy heats up. One effective way to prevent corporate power from being channelized or challenged into higher prices in the coming year would be a temporary excess profit tax. So that means the corporate earning more profit should be taxed at a higher rate. So they will be discouraged to earn means quote more price in the name of uh, and not paying the amount to the laborers. In the Global Environment Facility, recently at the 64th Global Environment Facility Council meeting in Brazil, the government governing body approved the disbursement of 1.4 billion to accelerate efforts to tackle the climate, biodiversity and pollution crisis. And what is this global environment facility? Established on the side that on the eve of the Rio Earth Summit, the first Earth Summit held at Rio in 1992 at Rio in Brazil of UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, to help tackle our planet's most pressing environmental problem. It is primarily of funds dedicated to confronting biodiversity losses, climate change, pollution, and stains on the land and ocean health. It provides financial assistance for five major international environmental conventions: the Minamata Convention on Mercury, the Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity, the United Nations Convention on Combat Desertification, the United Nations Convention on Climate Change (UNFCCC). Right? We fund these projects. It has 184 member countries, including India. The governing council of the main governing body of the Global Environment Facility. It comprises 32 members appointed by the constituency of the GF member countries, 14 from developed countries, 16 from developing countries, and 2 from the economy in transition. Its secretary is based in Washington, D.C., in USA. Then the Maria by which recently the Indian Army's spacecraft accused women activist Maria Pabis in Manipur of deliberately blocking routes and interfering on the operation of security forces as the state struggled to contain weeks of rioting and unrest. So about the Maria Pabis, who are they? The most visible organized face of the civil society activists having been the Maria Papish or the women torchbearers, so called because of their flaming torches that they hold aloof afloat while marching in the street, often at night. They are also known as the Image or the Mother of Manipur, are Meitei women who come from all sections of society in Manipur. Members of this group are widely respected and represent a woman powerful moral force. The Maria Pavis are loosely organized, usually led by groups of senior women, but have no rigid hierarchy or structure or any overt political learning. But social role to the Maria Paibi's play. The Maria Paibi was formed in 1977. Presently, it is one of the largest grassroots movement in the world. Its initial focus on fighting alcoholism and drug abuse has now expanded to countering human rights violation and development of society at large. National Statistics Day is the next topic. Okay, so in the memory of P.C. Mahalanobis. Okay, this National Statistics Day is observed in the memory of late P.C. Mahalanobis, was the founder of Indian Planning. The Statistics Day on June, the Statistics Day 2023 event is taking place at the Scope Convention Center, Scope Complex, Lodi Road, New Delhi. Union List of States of the Institute of Statistics and Programmatic Medicine, Rao Hindal Singh will grace the occasion. The theme of the National Statistics Day 2023 is alignment of state indicator framework with national indicator framework for monitoring sustainable development goals. Professor Prashant Chandra Mahalanobis, in whose memory the Statistics Day is observed, he is considered the father of modern statistics in India. Founded the Indian Statistical Institute, set the Planning Commission, which was replaced by the NITI introduced innovative techniques for conducting large-scale sample survey, calculated acreage and crop yields using the method of random sampling. He also devised a statistical method called the factile graphical analysis used to compare socioeconomic conditions of varied groups. Okay, then coming to the question. Although the Attorney General of India does not enjoy the right to vote in Parliament, play Okay, so the Attorney General of India derives its power from the Indian Constitution with the constitutional body under Article 76. He is the highest law officer in the country appointed by the President, and his duty includes to give advice to Government of India upon such legal matter which are referred to him by President to perform such other duty of a legal character. Those are assigned to him by the President to discharge the function conferred on him by the Constitution or any other law of the land. Okay. Role played by the Attorney General inside the Parliament. He has the right to speak and take part in the proceeding of both the House of Parliament. He enjoys all the privileges and immunity that are available to the members of Parliament. Thus, he enjoys all the rights available to the members of Parliament except the right to vote. So, all the powers enjoyed by the Parliament members of Parliament are enjoyed by the Attorney General, but the only limitation is that he has no right to vote in the parliamentary deliberation. He has all the rights. This makes him an important part of parliamentary proceedings, whereby he can analyze and comment on the day-to-day perspective of the parliament based on legal perspective of bills and discussions. This constitutes important aspect of democracy when viewed through legal prism of an expert. Lower played outside Parliament to appear on behalf of the Government of India in all cases in the Supreme Court and High Court, which is okay. So to appear on behalf of Government of India in all cases in the Supreme Court and High Courts, which the government is concerned, to represent the government, of India in any reference. Okay, to represent the government of India in any reference made by the President to the Supreme Court under Article 143 of the Constitution. Thus, he is the chief legal advisor to the government of India, whereas the government consult him on issues related to legal matter. Although he is not a full-time counsel for the government, does not fall under the category of government servants, it is not debarred from private legal practices, but it is a constitutional post. How changing governance requires role modification. The Office of Attorney General was created decades back. The role of government was majorly to manage day-to-day aspect of governance. But the changing time has brought new aspects to the governance, like the multiplicity of stakeholders, increased role of private sector players, increased role of the e-governance, and need of better public service delivery to promote good governance to our citizenry. Thus, it should be ensured that the Office of Attorney General is free from political influence, and it discharges its duty as per mandate of Constitution, creation of multiple organ within the body of Attorney General so as to deal with legal aspect of matters individually for better expert advice could also be thought of. Thus, the Attorney General role should be adaptive with changing nature of the governance and whichever party be in government. Then coming to the MCQs of the day, so consider the statement regarding the Mohava Gaurav Patthar Hasta Shilpa, which get GI tag receipt from UP. It is a stone craft and is made of the radiant pyroflight stone. That's right. Use only white color stone, and different colors are given to the white color stone after it is crafted. So both 1 and 2 are correct. But the following statement, the Union Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterway launches Sagar Samajik Sahajog, that's right, and it empower port to undertake corporate social responsibility activity directly without giving it to the government. So both are correct. The Maria Pabis are also known as the mother of the Meghalaya. That's incorrect. So it is in Manipur, not Meghalaya. Maria Pari's role as society's conscious keeper is widely acknowledged. So two is correct, but one is incorrect because it is in Manipur, not in Meghalaya. So consider the following statement regarding the Indian Ocean dipole. IOD is a much stronger system than El Nino is wrong. Okay, it is weaker. IOD is said to be positive when the western sides of the Indian Ocean near the Somali coast become warmer than the East Indian Ocean. That's right. 2 is correct only. So consider the following statement regarding the about the Professor Prasant Chandra Malanovis, in whose name the statistic national statistic is observed. He is considered the father of modern statistics in India. So that's right. He founded the Indian Statistical Institute. Right. He honored with the Padma Vibhushan. So only two pairs are right. Okay. The following statement regarding gridflation constitution arises due to workers who are getting higher wages. No, under this workers don't get higher wages. So company's profit does not impact the gridflation. That's right. So two is correct. Only two. Then Tampai Ling Cave is in there in Laos. Okay. Then the champions portal, which was recently seen in New Zealand by which ministry? Ministry of Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises launched the champions portal. Then what's the following statement regarding the critical minerals? It has metallic or non-metallic characteristics. So right, it include lithium and vanadium, which are largely used in manufacturing of battery. That's also right. Then with in reference to sea lion, that's the following statement. It is mainly found only in the Pacific Ocean region. So incorrect. It is semi-aquatic carnivorous animal. It is right. But one is incorrect. This way we will discuss over. Keep watching regularly to update yourself on the development. Thank you.